Welcome back to this week's Real Country File. The weather is drying up, although it has given it pretty wet for the next 2 weeks, which is a shame because we want to get harvest underway. Action-packed episode this week. Angela's at Carbutt's turf. Stephen is visiting a beef farm that's getting ready for Great Eccleston Show.
So this is, well, her name's Rhubarb Fool. I like to give them quite good names, especially when they're going to be show calves.
And Ben Briggs has been at Groundswell, which is a bit like a festival about regenerative farming.
It's one of the most remarkable events I've ever been to. It's my first time here. It's all about regen agriculture and trying to do things differently. And
This week's episode is sponsored by Neogen, so big thanks to them. They do tailored genomics and dairy hygiene solutions. So here's a little look at that.
My name's Rob Horn. I work for Neogen. So Neogen are the providers of genomic solutions across the world. Genomic data is the DNA of the animal, and we help the farm to extract that DNA from the animal to be able to use that to make an informed decision as to what's going to happen to that animal. Profitability-wise, the use of genomics enables the farm to be far more efficient with the decisions they're making on which animals to breed from and which animals not to. Effectively, what the farm can do is target the traits that are most important. So, is it lameness? Is it feed advantage? Are they wanting to look at health traits like mastitis? You can use it in a huge number of different ways to make your herd more efficient. The farm starts by taking a tissue sample from the calf using an applicator, and that tissue sample goes into the tissue sampling unit. The labs then extract the DNA, and that then goes through the evaluation body, which is AHDB for the UK. Once that evaluation has been done, those results are then sent to the farm, and then Neogen supports the farm in being able to use that data to manage the herd. When the data is released, it drops into the iGenity dashboard. The farmer has individual access to their data within that dashboard. A calf can be tested from 2 days of age. Within 6 weeks' time, the results are back and a decision can be made as to what happens to that calf.
Thanks for that, Neogen. Now, over to Angela with a turf cutting machine.
Now, I've always thought of harvesting grass as something that you would do to provide fodder for livestock. But in this field today, they're actually harvesting turf. So I'm going to sit in the cab and have a chat to Gary from Carbutt's Turf and see what the job's all about. Carbutt's Turf. So Gary, thank you very much for allowing me to sit in the passenger seat here. I know you need to concentrate whilst we're talking as well, so I'll try not to distract you too much. So we're in a field here, but you just mentioned that this turf here is going somewhere quite special, really. Where's it off to?
Off the West Midlands Safari Park. The rhino enclosure.
In the rhino enclosure, right? Okay, so. Although it looks quite nice and pristine in this field here, it's going to have quite a few heavy dints in it quite soon, I imagine.
For 2 weeks time, we'll be going back again, doing it again.
Yeah, that's it. So what kinds of customers generally do you sell the turf to?
We deal with anybody really, the general public, building sector, we do a lot with the building sites, landscapers, Aldi parks, Alton Towers, anywhere that needs turf really.
Yeah, okay. And is it a special kind of like sort of grass or seed that you need to work with?
Yeah, we do have a special blend of turf, seed mixtures, but it's the hardware in turf which we just use one blend so it doesn't get too complicated doing different things.
And so what sort of time frame do farmers need to think about if they were thinking of doing a crop of turf?
Well, you've got between, all depending on the drill, you've got between 10 and 16 months. If be ready to harvest. It depends on the ground and the weather. And the weather's been a big part of the thing this last 12 months.
And you work with farmers, well, you work with the farmers generally for a long time, over decades.
Oh, yeah, we do with different farmers. We rent a lot of ground. This farmer here where we are now, we have 150 acres every year. We rotate different fields.
Oh. So tell us a bit more about this machinery that you're using. How long have you had this kit?
This machine's about 6 years old. A bit of an upgrade from the last thing that we used to have. There's the one over there still. But it's just so much quicker and so much efficient. You don't need as many staff.
Oh. So just give us a summary of how it works then.
At the front of the machine you've got an automatic shoe, which does an automatic steer, so you don't need to steer it. It cuts from the blade underneath, it comes up the elevator, hits the gate, rolls up into the accumulator, now picks it up and then stacks it onto the pallet.
And then I see that these little yellow dials are moving independently themselves. What are they doing?
Well, that's all linked to the computer. So that's just moving, every little movement of that arm is through them levers. There's a pallet pull on there now. So when that pallet ejects round, then you start on a fresh pallet again.
So it automatically puts a new pallet on the back when you've got one full.
Yeah, off we go. Yeah, new pallet goes on the back. So I can set this how much turf I want to put on that pallet. So then he's putting 60 rolls on a pallet. So when that pallet's full, it starts to leave, but you press the button and off you keep going.
So how long has Carbutt's turf been operating then?
It operates with my dad and my dad's brother, my Uncle Jack. That's been doing well over 50 years now.
Right, okay, very
Well over
good.
50 years. It started off with a little hand machine, putting in better turf, doing about 200 yards a day, where we're up to anything from 4,000 to 8,000 metres a day now.
Right.
With these machines.
And it actually goes, what, all over UK-wide, is it?
Yeah, all over Britain, yeah, all over England.
Yeah, right.
From Scotland to Devon, everywhere.
So if we've got a farmer watching that's maybe struggling a bit in terms of thinking about what different crops to sow, would you recommend turf as something to get into, or is it more of a long-term thing you have to think about?
It's a long-term thing, really. It's like a thing you have to be established with. Mm-hmm. So you have to keep. I don't know. It's a customer basis. It's a customer basis. That's what you need. Good customer basis. Regular customers.
To buy the turf from.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Right. So what's the best bit about the job from your point of view?
The best bit of the job. The best bit of the job's 5 o'clock when I'm going home.
And what tricky things can you come across? What's the worst bit or the most problematic aspect?
The most problematic thing is the weather. It's either too wet or too dry.
I see.
You
Right.
get about 3 weeks a year any good, and then the rest of it's just one problem after the other.
So if it's raining, can you not cut properly?
Yeah. Well, you can. Depends what sort of ground you're on. If you're on nice sandy ground, you can keep going. If you're unfortunate and you took all your sandy ground and you've ended up on something a bit heavy going, then it could be a mess.
Yeah, okay. Right, well, thank you very much for having me in your camp here. It's been really interesting and, it's something that I've never experienced before, but I've seen a lot of you around, so yeah, interesting stuff.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Angela. I hope the animals in the zoo appreciate the turf. Anyway, Great Eccleston Show is coming up 13th and 14th next weekend. We've got a website in the bottom there so that you can go and buy tickets. It's a really good show. I go every year. I'll definitely be there on a Sunday, and our lads will be there on both days because we're going to do some tractor pulling while we're there. Anyway, let's see how Stephen's got on with someone that's setting up ready for it with the beef cattle.
On this week's Real Countryfile, we have come along to see Roger and Becca to have a look at your prep work for the Great Eccleston Show, but he's not here, where is he?
Unfortunately, it's his busiest time of the year. He's out siloing, so collecting the grass ready for the winter feed. busy on tractors and yeah, prepping for winter really.
So he's a contractor as well as looking after some animals here on the farm as well. And congratulations, Regenerative, I believe.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we got married last week on the farm.
Excellent. So,
cows were involved. So.
That's fantastic. And you are showing at the Great Eccleston Show.
Yes, we've shown there for the last few years, and it's one of our highlights of the year. We've entered a milk cow, a milk heifer, in-calf heifer, and a handful of calves. So yeah, just getting busy getting ready for that.
Well, I think we'll have a look at them, but before we do that, we should talk a little bit about your job, because you're not a farmer.
Nope.
Well, you are a farmer when you're at home. Yeah. But you have another job.
Yeah, so I'm a farm vet based at Oak Hill Vets in Goosner. So I spend all my day out on the road visiting different farms in Lancashire, caring for cows, sheep, pigs, and today I've been working with some alpacas. So it's a mixed bag.
Very different,
yeah.
Very different. Right, so a keen eye for animal welfare and health. And the very best of breed. So, shall we have a look at what you're taking to Great Eccleston?
Yep, okay.
Fantastic. Oh, hello, mate.
That's the one.
So, Becca, this is one of your prize exhibits that you're taking to Great Eccleston. Tell us a little bit about what we've got here.
So this is, well, her name's Rhubarb Fool. I like to give them quite good names, especially when they're going to be show calves. So she is just coming up to a year old, and she will be in the oldest calf class. So she'll be competing against anything born between, I think it's between June and August. So she's August, so she'll be one of the youngest in her class. Yeah, so you see she's red and white. Holsteins can come in black and white or red. We quite like the red ones here. Yeah, so hopefully she does well. Her grandmother we took her to Great Eck probably 4 or 5 years ago now, and she won Great Eck Show.
Right.
So she's got a lot to live up to.
And that was you taking her grandmother? And...
Yeah, that was the first calf of our own that we showed.
Okay.
And she won Great Eck, Garstang, and then won the Lancashire Calf Championships that same year.
Does it help with sell-on prices? What you know when you come to?
Yeah, it does. If we're not really in the business of selling, because we've got a milking herd which they go into. But if something does well at Great Eccleston Show, it's quite renowned in the country, then it will definitely add some money to it if you were looking at selling her.
Now we come to see the prep and and getting doing. And if Roger's in a forage harvester all the time, he's bombing around fields chopping grass is it all down to you?
Yeah, unfortunately. Well, actually, I love it. So, yeah, it's a lot of hard work. Your prep starts months before the show. So, I mean, we've been busy with the wedding, so we've not had as much prep as what we'd have liked. But these guys have been in their own pen, being halter trained for the last few weeks. They get a bath every other day, just to get them used to being washed. This weekend, if work allows, I'll clip her off, just to get some hair off, and then ready next week we'll do a proper show prep.
Say if work allows, because you've had your wedding prep for last week.
Yeah.
Roger's out chopping grass in between showers, and you're on call as a vet.
Yeah, on call all weekend till Monday morning, so could get anything, could get anywhere in Lancashire as well. So could be a busy weekend.
Could be, and you might not end up clipping till next week. Well, we are just a week or so away now, aren't we, from the Great Eccleston Show, and I'm sure your prep is well underway. It's all looks good. You agree as well?
So?
That'll do. Yeah. I'm sure you have a winner or two on your hands. So
oh, let's hope so.
I know you're mega busy. I really appreciate your time,
Thank you.
Becca. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. It's certainly going to be a good weekend. I know Stephen is going himself as well. Anyway, now over to Ben Biggs, that's been talking everything regenerative at Groundswell this week.
Right, hello, and this week for the Real Country File, we're here at the Groundswell Festival in Hertfordshire, I think, Andy, is it?
It is the deep south, yes.
It is somewhere down south, but it's one of the most remarkable events I've ever been to. It's my first time here. It's all about regen agriculture and trying to do things differently. And it's got, in the week of Glastonbury, it has a real festival vibe. And I'm joined today by my great friend, Andy Newbold, who wears many, many hats, of which I will let him explain now.
Worryingly, I'm an agricultural engineer by training. I deliver and run technical events, and I publish magazines for farmers, and I am the Secretary General of the European Society of Agricultural Engineers, but I haven't got my gold frogging with me today. How's that? Oh, and I'm a sheep farmer. I'm a regenerative Cumbrian sheep farmer, most importantly.
Well, yeah, most importantly, a regenerative sheep farmer who has been looking at Aberdeen Angus genetics yesterday, apparently. So, but Groundswell is probably one of the most different events on the agricultural calendar, I think, but there's a real festival vibe, there's a real friendly vibe to it. And what do you take from it when you come here?
So two things. A, it's an engaged community of practice. It's curious, interested people who are farming and in food and looking for ways to do things differently, who are not buying into a traditional conventional farming model in whatever form, whether it be livestock, whether it be mixed, or whether it's a focus on soils. And I think when it started 7 or 8 years ago, there was a perception in mainstream agriculture that it was kind of hair shirt and a bit hippie. and the reality is, it's a bunch of curious people trying to go forwards and ask really good questions. And it's exciting to be part of. Here as a punter, and also here with various of my day job hats on, it's great to be in an event where everybody wants to be here, everybody's enjoying it, and like you say, it feels like a festival because it's pitched as farming's festival.
Yeah, and there's a series of big top tents around the site, both for the evening events, and also they get absolutely packed out with great speakers. Henry Dimbleby, who was the former food czar, I think.
That's right, yeah.
And so lots and lots of different speakers. Do you think this is a model that others could adopt, or is its uniqueness actually what sells Groundswell?
I think at the moment, yes. I think a recognition of the blurring of the lines between the personal and the professional is a good thing, and a recognition that as a community, the royal we of farmers are a group of people, because there's emotion here, there's heart and there's soul, rather than just technical. And I think in a professional world, and arguably a corporate world, it can be hard to generate that heart and soul. Whereas, from the ground up, this is a movement. The people who have bought into that, yes, the Cherries host it, it's their event and they run it, but ultimately, rather like a good dinner party, they choose the guests around the table, and the dynamic of the guests around the table is who's around the table. It's not necessarily whose table it is. So, and that's a slightly crude analogy.
No, but I think you're right. I think the conversations that take place during the day and also over a pint and some food at night are just absolutely invaluable. And where do you think it fits into where agriculture is at the moment? We're at a point of inflection to a certain point societally. We've got a general election coming up, but also farming's changing, the subsidy system's changing. Yeah. And where do you think this fits in?
We're certainly in a period of flux, and it's febrile. It feels febrile to me. I'm in my early 50s. I've been, from student onwards involved in the industry for 30 some years, at the risk of already sounding like an old fart, so I apologise. But, everyone loves certainty. Now, historically, that certainty has been production-based subsidies, possibly quotas and agreements for how much you could produce. We've had massive cost pressure. We've seen what's happened with Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the direct impact that's had on COVID, on food supply chains, on the cost of production, and that's ongoing, coupled with a shift into the SFI system and away from the traditional per hectare payment for just being a farmer. People are nervous, is the honest truth. And I think to get back into what Groundswell's about, this gives people an opportunity to feel and to know they can take control of things. And I think it's very hard in farming, where traditionally you're a bit of a price taker because that's your milk price, and you stick your beasts in the market and that's the price you get. And your merchant says, well, today you're on £185 a tonne for your malting barley, so take it or leave it. And yes, there are marketing tools, but it's very hard for a grower to not feel like a prisoner of those wider things. And what's quite exciting in this environment is it helps you to find out more about the influences you can have. and support you as well.
Yeah, and I think that's it. And some of my friends who are more kind of conventional farmers, as it were, they've been at the event, and I think they've drawn a lot from it at the same time. And I think it's about that kind of new ideas, having a bit of a reset, and pardon the pun, kind of regenerating your view on agriculture and what you can do with it.
And there's a lot of, on the personal level, we all know we need friends to get us through life, and there's a lot of personal, professional, and all in between relationships being built, being maintained, and taken forwards, to help support you with change and decisions, and to harness other people's experience. We talk to who we like, we do business with who we trust. This event is about maintaining, building, developing those relationships. And on a personal level, 40% of farmers, something like that, have got mental health problems. To be around curious, like-minded people to say, it's all right to make mistakes. We're innovators in mistake making. We keep making new ones, don't we?
Yeah.
In this environment, it's positive and supportive, and that's what takes you forward. Maybe not in living memory. I'm sure my dad can tell me of other years, but we've been through a crap winter. It doesn't matter whether you're lambing sheep or growing crops. We've been through a crap winter, and a lot of, very, very well-structured professional farmers I know have said, I've really struggled this winter. Personally, I've really struggled. I've had those conversations in the last 24 hours. Being here with other people, because we're not touchy-feely. We don't necessarily have to have a hug now and then, but being with like-minded people say it's all right, and I feel just the same. But the sun's shining and the crops are growing and things aren't dying in the fields anymore. It's great, because that's what we need to take us forward.
I'm glad we're not going to hug, but what we can do is enjoy the sunshine. You're right, it has been a hard winter and spring, but it's been fantastic to be here at Groundswell in the sunshine and with like-minded people. And Andy, thank you very much for your time.
You're very welcome, Ben.
Thanks for that, Ben. Now, thanks as well to Neogen. Don't forget to check out their website, neogen.com. And also, don't forget to put the 13th and 14th Great Eccleston Show in your diaries. That's about all for this week. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.